Hey, good morning, everyone. Most shows would start that Monday morning with, oh boy, we are going to do great things. We are going to find the magical answer to all our problems. We're going to get our products and services, the things we believe in, out in the world and change lives. One, two,
Hey, good
three.
morning.
Super simple way. But no, not us. That's not the right question. We are renegades, and we want to provoke your thoughts and engage your mind so that you can develop the solutions to your challenges and take some sort of decisive action today. That's right. This is the show. Oh, I was doing so well. This is the show where we're going to help you figure it out. I am Bob Graham with the speech impediment apparently this morning. Tom Brush right there with me as always, and this is today's Antidote. Yoo-hoo!
You're all fired up this morning. Look at you.
I am. I've been up since 1:30.
1:30.
Yeah, I got a little sleepless thing going, and it's a long story. We'll talk about that later, Tom.
That might be a trapdoor.
Indeed, it could. You, I see what you did there. So, Tom, way to presage our topic for the day. We are talking about trapdoors, and you may say, "What's a trapdoor?" Well, we all have them. They're inside us. They're outside us. And I see one of the things gets in my way is my ability to use the technology because I saw I disappeared briefly.
You just froze for a second. Keep going. You're good.
Okay, so Tom, talk about trapdoors for a minute because I've talked way too much. And I've got to do a little magic now that you've done your magic.
There we go. Yeah, I think trapdoors, and really overall it's about obstacles. What are those things that get in the way from helping us get from where we are to where we want to be? We've talked a lot about goal setting and taking action and, and then finding an accountability partner or having accountability. So then it's like, how do we keep going? Well, as we keep going, it's inevitable that there are going to be obstacles that are going to pop up in our way. And sometimes they'll pop up, and other times they will just be a trapdoor, and the bottom will drop out from us. And I think it's important for us to do the best we can to try to figure out what those might be, but that's not always possible.
And therein lies the challenge, right? If we knew what all the trapdoors were, we wouldn't have trapdoors. But unfortunately, we all have them, and they tend to confront us. I know for me, the same trapdoor comes again and again and again. I was telling the next door neighbor yesterday, 8-year-old girl, we were talking about when I was a little boy. I showed her a picture of when I was a little boy, and we were talking about things that I did. She was helping me with some yard work, and she's like, "What did you do when you were a kid?" And I said, "I always got into trouble for something I said." That was when I was 3. That was when I was 6, 9, 12, you name a year. And to this day, still the thing that gets me. It's a trapdoor. My mouth is the trapdoor. My father is up in heaven looking down going, "You finally figured it out. It's taking you all these years." But that's my trapdoor. That's one of my trapdoors. I will say something I shouldn't. And now I'm at least good enough to figure out that I did it and to take corrective measures. But I've also done some harm over the years. And I think that's an example of an internal trapdoor. And then there are external trapdoors.
Sure.
Like you show me an outlet mall and it's a trapdoor. I just got to stop. I've been to outlets in California, Texas, Maryland, Ohio, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts. Yes.
All right, we can play that game. But it's an interesting analogy. You talk about, because typically, sometimes we plan to go to outlet malls. But a lot of times we're driving along, following our path, and we see it over at the side. And we're like, maybe there's a really good deal in there. Maybe there's something that I've always wanted or that I need that I can find. And by taking that turn off the exit, we have now just extended our trip, not just for like, oh, let me pop in and see if they have it. You can't pop into an outlet mall. You're in an outlet mall for a while because you see one store and then another. And it's almost like those shiny objects that we have that come along as we're trying to move forward in our path. We're going along and things are going great. And we're like, oh, wait a minute. Well, what if I used a chatbot? Let me check that out. Let me move a little bit forward and say, there's this thing like avatar meeting rooms.
I see what you're doing here.
Really? What am I doing, Mom?
You're calling all of them out.
Well, I think it's reality. All of us set these goals that we want to try to achieve. And we're in that process of achieving them. And we become sometimes too easily distracted by what's going on around us. And we forget, how do we keep moving down the path? So your trapdoor is outlet malls. Mine is probably, I'm trying to think about if I'm driving, what are those things that distract me?
This is why I have to make fun of you about your high school and where you grew up, Tom, because you give me nothing. I go out on this total limb, complete vulnerability. I'm like Kelly Ripa here, giving it all out, everything about me. And what do I get from you? You're like the guest host who comes in on Kathy and Ryan and just comes in and goes, yeah, so let me do it, Kelly. Okay, yeah, sure, that's really fascinating. Come on, give me something. You got to have some trapdoor.
Oh, I have lots of trapdoors. Online poker, that could be potentially a horrible trapdoor if I went down.
There you go. Very nice. I feel better.
It's interesting, though, when I'm driving, as I think I shared before, I love to think. And so I'm usually focused on the road, but my mind is going a million different directions. So I don't always get distracted by what's going on. I'm distracted by my own thoughts, not by like, what are the things I see on the side of the road? And I think that's where if we can try to identify those trapdoors, we can then figure out, all right, how do I potentially avoid that path? And I think that's a good question for everybody to ask yourself is, first, what is the thing that derails you? And we all have them. Sometimes the other thing would be for me is notifications that pop up on my screen. Like, I better go check that out, figure out what that's all about. It's an email message. I better see what's going on rather than staying focused in on what I was doing. And I think if we can identify them, we can then maybe figure out what are the paths to avoiding them and moving through them.
And that's going to be our topic this week. I want to jump in with a comment from Neil who says, wow, Bob, presage, big word for the morning. That's right. Maybe that's what we should call this program. Big word for the morning. No, we already came up with the name. And then Peter says, Tom Brush, we are similar like that for thinking and driving, arriving at our destination without a clue of how we got there or what happened along the way.
That is so. There have been times. It's funny, if you're a Maryland person, as you're coming along the Beltway. So I used to make this trip from Annapolis a lot, and the Beltway from like Catonsville to 83 just became like a blur. I'd be like, well, how did I get to 83 so quick? What happened? And it is funny how there are times when I'm like, how did I get from here to there? I don't even remember going by this stop and that stop, all the ones that I know. Fascinating. Great, very good point, Peter.
This is why whenever Tom and I have driven anywhere, we drive with me driving. And also because like the president and vice president, we no longer drive in the same car because if something were to happen to us, we want to make sure one of us can carry on today's antidote. See how I did that?
Very nice. And my wife does the same thing. She's like, especially if we're talking, she's like, are you going to get off here? Are you going to drive over that car? And I'm like, no, my mind's going a million miles an hour and I just get caught up.
So I think we've made the point, Tom, just to recap real quick, because, let's keep it simple today. We all have trapdoors. And over the course of this week, tomorrow we're going to talk about more internal trapdoors, some that we see, and how we can see them. Wednesday, we'll talk about external trapdoors. And then Thursday and Friday, we're going to look at how we make something of them and that there actually are some opportunities in trapdoors. And so if you'd like to join us, my antidote for today is write a comment down below that says what a trapdoor for you is. And if you've never thought of it as a trapdoor, I would say it's that thing that gets in your way, that thing that stops you from being your most whatever it would be. It can be a thought process. It can be a physical thing. It can be a message you heard when you were a child that you still hear in your voice or that comes back to you all the time. It can be, I have a friend where trapdoor is actually a song he hears. If he hears that song, he goes right down the wrong path. You just like, dude, you can't even listen to the radio. This song is not good for you. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be the most rational because we're humans and it's emotion. Usually the trapdoor comes from a place of emotion and there's an emotion that gets involved. So for me with the outlets, I just like the fun of finding a deal. It just it excites me. It's relaxing to me. It's soothing to me. You like having the time in the car probably just to think through things. It's uninterrupted time. There's not a lot going on. You can't be distracted by your computer, by a message, by an alert. So no surprise, that's when you have those thoughts come to you, fast and furious. So the other thing I want to say, your antidote, Tom, sorry.
No, that's okay. You were on a roll there. You're going well. No, mine is, I think it's interesting. I think there are lots of obstacles and trapdoors are one of them. And trapdoors I think of as things that we know in some regards, when you're on a stage, there's a trapdoor somewhere. If you're in an Indiana Jones movie, you know that you're going to step on something wrong and something is going to happen. Not usually very good. And there's also other things that we have no control over, that just start to show up. Those obstacles and hurdles are different in my mind. These are a little bit different. I think these are things today. That's what I'd like people to think about is identify what are those things that take you off path, that distract you, that move you away from where you're going. And I would say comment on those as well, because I think identifying what those things are, now we can figure out steps to move it. Like Bob could set his GPS up to say, don't take me on any path where there are outlets. Just keep me going on the rural route all the time. Because I think identifying what those challenges are, we can then put in some reasons of how we try to avoid them or deal with them once they come up.
And we've given examples that aren't really business related, but there are plenty that affect us in our businesses. Plenty, so many. So if you're thinking, Peter says, trapdoor, my smartphone being on and around me when I'm working, I get a specific message from a specific person and my mind goes galloping off on a tangent that is destructive and disempowering for the next hour or so, and work suffers. Oh boy, Peter, that's pretty much it. You described it beautifully. That's what I think we all experience. And what I think Tom and I are getting at is we often don't think about them. And if you think about them, that's where the power to overcome them is. When you start to say out loud, this is my trapdoor, I need to avoid it, you can go another way, just like Tom and the GPS and my outlet love. So with that, Tom, we've given people something to do. Want to remind them, if they haven't already done so, please join us in our Ring of Renegades. It's our Facebook group. We are growing that group. We had a whole bunch of people join us over the weekend, and scads more are coming real soon. Our goal is to get that group as big as possible with people who are looking for the solutions today, not lamenting what was, not thinking it's going to return to normal, but creating a new normal every day that positions them to take advantage of the opportunities. Anything else to say today, Tom?
No, I hope. Are we going to tease the networking event or no?
Yes, we are. You are correct, sir. Thank you.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm going to let you do it.
Oh, well, we are going to have a networking event on Thursday. We asked people to comment on whether they wanted it to be open just to anybody, members and their guests, or just to our closed Ring of Renegades. And right now, the vote seems to say that we're going to open up to members and guests. Bob and I will finalize that, and we'll start getting information out. because we'd love to have you connect. And it's not your normal networking event. It's not the come and give your 30 second elevator pitch and try to get your virtual business card in everybody's hands. This is going to be an opportunity for us to connect and engage and share a little bit more some of the things that we think are important and how we want to be able to figure out how to move through this, not just as individuals, but as a group, that collectively this group can help move everyone forward at a time when things are a little, out of whack and a little challenging. And so we hope you will join us. There'll be information in the Ring of Renegades. We'll also be posting it, as long as it's open to anybody, in our social media. So please feel free to look Bob or I up, send us a message, comment below if you need the information, and we will make sure that you're invited to our event.
And that's this Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Sorry, I was trying to remember what time zone we were in, and it's all good. 4 p.m. Eastern this Thursday. It'd be a great event. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're calling it the I can't believe it's not networking event, right, Tom?
Correct. Something like that.
Yes. So it's going to be different.
Because Renegades would not do a normal networking event. They're going to do the non-networking network event. That's
it. There you go. You got it. All right, folks. Well, for Tom Brush right there, I'm Bob Graham. This has been today's Antidote. Look forward to seeing you every weekday morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Until tomorrow morning, Tom, have a great day. You and everyone.